going over Terrifier first. We just got to get things working. I don't think I can hear you. There you go.
So it opened another Facebook like in my cloud, so I had two going at the same time.
Yeah, that was a
when I
mistake.
tried to share it. I don't know what just happened.
That's where you messed up. Yeah.
So I'll stop sharing stuff. I just wanted to share our video, so hopefully somebody would watch. I just want to share that Jason said he's going to be late to this because after watching on Peacock, he had a ticket, an advance ticket to go see Halloween Ends, and he's not happy about it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, so let's start off with Terrifier, just because, like I said, it's a different beast. It's an independent, low budget movie that for any wrongs that it may have. Yeah, nice. It's behind me. I can't reach it at the moment, but
this movie so much.
Yeah, so I mean, a little bit of history with Terrifier. The first one with Damien Leone, 2016, had a $36,000 budget.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, this is taking a character from All Hallows Eve.
From even before then, he did a short called The Ninth Circle, and that's the first time Art appeared, and it was pretty much the same thing that we saw on All Hallows Eve, just less cool makeup.
Okay. Yeah, so Terrifier came on the scene, and it just took the horror scene by storm. It was crazy. It was on Netflix. People were talking about it left and right. Some people didn't like it because of its simplicity and because of the gore and stuff like that, and it just had nothing to say and nothing to do. Some people loved it because of the gore and because it was just mean.
I want to say it's absolutely hilarious that you and I were both also like, after the first time we saw it, we were like, I don't know. And dude, it's like, it's a staple for me now. Like, it's got such a charm. Like, it's violent, it's disturbing, but there's this charm.
Yeah, David Howard Thornton is the real winner in that movie. Like, he is the shining star in that movie. Like, without him, I mean, the other guy, I can't remember his name. The guy who played him in All Hallows Eve was good. He did, but he just didn't have the same amount of energy and creepiness. Like, it was a more subtle, where David Howard Thornton knows how to do it subtle and then in your face. Like, and his ability to just manipulate his face and let the scene breathe, and the director too does that too. They're a good team when it comes to just letting art be art.
Absolutely.
So this movie unfortunately got delayed because of COVID, but with a $250,000 budget, they came out swinging for the fences.
But one of the cool things about the delay is it gave us arguably the longest, gruesomest, darkest kill scene that I've seen on screen in a theater ever. Because apparently with the COVID shutdown, Damien decided to keep upping the ante on that kill specifically, which is just awesome, but also very cruel, but awesome.
Yeah, it was really intricate to watch some of those behind the scenes and like all the old school effects and stuff like that were going on, and the when you have like that much blood in a scene, like I don't know how you keep putting on like new whether it be clothes, carpet, couch, furniture, whatever it is that's getting covered in blood. I don't know how you keep having to do that over and over again to get it right. I don't know how you do something like that. So it's pretty cool. Once again, keeping it spoiler free, then we'll go through all of them and give our spoiler thoughts here at the end. So we'll kind of briefly go over the spoiler free, but overall, I really liked the movie. I thought that in the third act, like in the first act, it sets up a couple silly things, and the second act, it's following through those. And in the last like half hour, it like not only jumps the shark but it puts a ramp right there with like Johnny Knoxville on it with like an Acme rocket and just shoves that rocket up the shark's behind and fires it off that ramp into the moon. Like it just goes there. There was a point in the theater where something happens and I rolled my eyes so hard that I looked at Caleb. Like I didn't realize that my eyeballs were moving my entire head. And I just looked at Caleb inside. I was just like, and he's like, dude, just go with it. It's just go. And I was like,
The reason that I said go with it is this is something that, this this is the second full-length feature film of this director's character. And arguably the first movie doesn't have a story. It's just a showcase. So this is where we're getting the meat and potatoes, if you will.
Potatoes. Oh,
yeah, talk about stuff in your face. So it's I'm okay with it. Like I feel like if a franchise is just gonna go completely out the gate wild, this is the one that has the permission to do so. Like your main bad guy is supernatural. You've had him in an anthology series that's kind of connected to something else. You've now got him in his solo thing. You haven't really established characters, or is this in the real world? Is it not in the real world? It's just, you know what? Have fun with it. Go crazy. I enjoyed it. And I think I enjoyed it so much because of that. Whereas like when you do that with Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like you can do it, but not this wild.
Right. Friday the 13th and Halloween did not have the backstory, the DNA, the jumping off point of the supernatural, of the weird and wonky and wacky. Whereas Terrifier 2 does have that. Like Terrifier has that. It's coming from a weird, wild demons and crazy stuff and dimensions and all sorts of things. So, but it's just one of those things where I like the original Terrifier. The last few minutes of the original Terrifier, I'm like, oh, I don't like, because at that time I'd never seen All Hallows Eve. So like when the end of the first Terrifier movie happens, I'm like, God dang it! Like for whatever reason, I just don't like the fantastical as much. But that being said, I have a theory. Once again, I'm always trying to make the movie work for my enjoyment. I have a theory for what Damien Leone is setting up for the third movie, because he's always had this stuff in mind. This isn't necessarily new. I might not like how it necessarily happens, but he's always had this in mind. I love that he did not sell out. He had the opportunity to sell it to the big studios and stuff like that, or to sell the rights, and he did not. So you got to respect that he found backers, and he had Indiegogo. You got to respect it.
And him not selling that $50,000 budgeted movie that hit Netflix and then got greenlit for a sequel, so he put out another Indiegogo for $50K and wound up with $250,000. And then it hit theaters, and an opening weekend made $1.2 million, and then got extended another 2 weeks in theaters. That, for an indie film, that's unheard of, especially one this gory, this long, this wicked, this vile, for lack of a better word. It's crazy. It's a great time to be a horror fan in that aspect. Like, you and I saw the goriest, craziest movie we will probably ever see in theaters.
Probably, yeah. And had he used more of that budget to promote the movie, I think the movie would have done a little bit better. When I was projecting what this movie would do in theaters, I kind of forgot that it's still only really big in the horror community. Like it just doesn't have a whole lot of marketing behind it. So I kind of forgot to take that, but still. It's only playing in a very small amount of theaters.
A casual movie fan or casual horror fan probably isn't going to find a whole lot there, other than maybe art's actions themselves. And outside of that, it's not really for those people. It's for the diehard horror fans. and the gore hounds, but even it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, overall, I would recommend this, to, especially to fans of that first movie. I do think that the acting was better. The characters you can latch on a little bit longer. I do feel it could have
Gave you a
cut out about.
story.
Yeah, story's good. I think you could have cut out an easy 20 minutes. It's too long. But I do
Art's
think,
hilarious.
I do think though that this, unfortunately, and no disrespect to the director, he did a better job than I could ever probably hope to do, even with training and stuff. But there were a few shots where, like in a normal horror movie, you would cut away and then cut back, and they would be there, or you would have the character walk into frame, and then you would see something. There was a lot of that where like they were setting up the scene to do that, and it didn't do that, and it kind of disjointed my expectations. Which I doesn't feel like it was on purpose because it was so right there. There's also a couple shots with like mirrors and things like that where you could, from the distance, you could see them coming, or like some other things like that where I thought there was a little bit missed in some of the cinematography, but overall it's still awesome. It's still good to look at. Kills are great. Everything's on par. Yeah, I mean, Art the Clown is a horror icon. Even before this, he was an horror icon.
Absolutely. And I want to point out that I enjoyed this so much. I never do this. Ask John. He gets mad at me for not. I pre-ordered the Steelbook. Like, I don't pre-order anything ever. But when this hit Walmart, it hit it first thing in the morning. I think it was yesterday. And then Terrifier fans broke Walmart. And it got deleted for like 3 hours and then went back up. I think the DVD is $12.95 and the Steelbook is $19.99. And it says delivered on or before December 1st, which I'm guessing that means that'll probably be its ship date.
Yeah, I'll eventually buy. I don't know about a Steelbook right now. It's a lot. Like the problem I have with it is the runtime. And I won't. This isn't a spoiler, but like in the first movie, it's very rock and roll. It is very straight to the point, no faking. Like it's cooking MCs like a pound of bacon. Like it's going for it. And then there's a little bit of time for Art to do his thing, and then let it breathe. This movie has a lot of Art in it, and that since he doesn't talk or make a whole lot of noise, it's almost too much. Like it's almost too quiet. It's almost too much of him in a very long amount of time. Like the novelty, the special kind of wears off a little bit towards the end. I mean, I'm not saying it's too much of a negative. I felt like had he been able to like actually laugh or to grunt or to like be a little bit more playful, I felt like the silent stuff started to wear thin towards the end of the movie for me. Like, still a great performance. It's not like he was tired. It's just the shtick felt kind of tired towards the end of this movie because it's a lot of gore and depravity and nastiness, and this guy being over the top and mean and funny but nasty. Like, it's just a lot, and I was kind of I just thought 20 minutes need to be shaved out of it. It's a character that's better utilized in smaller doses, I think.
I can see what you're saying, but again, for me, it worked because it's so independent. I didn't really have an expectation other than I wanted a lot of carnage, and that it really delivered. And I wanted to see Art the Clown be funny and terrifying at the same time. Got it. Dude brings trick-or-treating to a whole new level.
Yeah. I do love that. Yeah. It's nice to watch a Halloween horror movie again. It's like in Child's Play, the show, when Chucky goes trick-or-treating is like, it's my favorite episode. I love it so much.
Yeah. Dude, there's something about including Halloween night in your film, even if your film isn't necessarily Halloween centric, that it automatically pulls for me. Like I'm there for it. I got it.
It blows my mind that we've never had a Scream set in Halloween. Like, it blows my mind. School's going on. It's Halloween. People are dressed up. Go. I just don't understand how that's never happened.
I almost wonder if, like, Wes Craven, when he was alive working on him, he was like, "Don't do it," like,
it
because
seems like a layup.
somebody
Though.
had to have pitched it.
Yeah,
Somebody had to have.
had to. It seems like a layup. But anyway, I will. There'll be more about Scream later on. But so overall, if you own the first movie, you didn't make it to theaters, go ahead and just buy this one at least on DVD. Like it's worth it. You're gonna like. If you like the first movie, you're gonna like this movie. Yeah,
It's
if you
still
get to
in
the theaters, I
theaters.
say check it out. Yeah.
If you're by a theater that it's still in, go check it out. They are going to be announcing the streaming news, I believe, next week. I know there is a new horror stream that's like Shudder that originally had all the Terrifier 2 stuff, but the way they've been talking lately, there might be some more, which would be cool because I would get on it in a heartbeat because God, I loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So switching over to Hellraiser real quick. This one will be a lot more straight to the point for spoiler freeze. I like the first two movies. I think they are. I mean, I still think that from what Clive Barker originally intended, there's still kind of a PG version of that, which is fine because you got to be able to especially back in '87, you got to be able to make it a little bit marketable, right? Like it went to theaters. It was as nasty as it probably could be. The second movie kind of got screwed out of its budget. Was still awesome for what it was, but both movies held back on the Cenobites, and this movie pushes them forward a little bit to be more of the threat. Like Leviathan and all the other stuff is still a big deal, but these guys are pushing that a little bit more. I felt, you know, the main characters really feel like Hellraiser characters, where they're there. You get just enough to care or not care. People suck, people are cool, people are complicated. You get a little bit of all that, right? You get good, evil, complicated. The brother sister angle. I always love a good brother sister angle in horror. You don't get that a whole lot. The CGI kind of, it's not terrible, but it's not like the practical is good when they use it. The CGI is okay when they use it. It's not bad. The story's solid. It adds a little bit. Most of it that it adds, I like. Some of it, very minor that it adds, I don't like. But overall, I think this movie is a solid movie. I think it was Jamie Clayton thought she did a great job. I thought that the other Cenobites did a great job. I had fun. But I was not that invested, as I'm not a huge Hellraiser franchise fan. So I liked it. Those are most of my spoiler-free thoughts. I enjoyed it, but it didn't rock my socks. I don't know, but I didn't hate really anything of it.
Oh, I've got some things.
Uh-oh.
That down a little bit. Hellraiser 2022 was all right. I think, yet again, we have a movie where 40 minutes in, nothing has happened with the Cenobites, when it was advertised as a film that the Cenobites were taking the forefront, which still to this day has not happened in any of the films.
Well, I guess you're right. It really does take a second for it to start going, but once they get to the middle, once they really realize what's happening, I felt like they were on screen a lot.
They were. But again, here's where one of my issues came up is, don't get me wrong, I think that all of the actors who portrayed a Cenobite did an amazing job, but Pinhead felt less like the Hell Priest and more like a second-tier Cenobite. How Pinhead didn't feel like they commanded the screen like Doug Bradley or anything like that. They felt more just kind of there.
It did feel like an impartial kind of judge kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
it felt like, look, I'm here. This is gonna happen. Choose. Like, instead of like, I'm excited to be here. Where this is gonna happen. Bow down. You know what I mean? They really did have that feeling. I will agree to that. Yeah, yeah. But
So,
there was that creepy testing the waters sexual like vibe to Jamie Clayton. Like, there was a good vibe. I really, really, really miss the black leather. I don't like the skin suits. Like, it makes more sense and it's more to the original ideas, but it also just doesn't bring that slasher icon mean thing to it. It just yeah. I don't know why I didn't think it bothered me as much.
I'm with you on that. Another thing, I do not like our main character. I think she is meh. Like, the actress is fine. She did a good job portraying her character. That's the thing. She did really good. But the character themselves, I don't care. Like, you can kill her. You cannot kill her. I don't care. I really don't.
I was trying to be nice. That's what I was saying with like standard Hellraiser characters, like, because like, I don't care at all. Like, she's this.
But you cared about Christy. Christy was smart. Christy was she tried to fight back. She used the Cenobites when she knew that she had no other way to win. Like,
she was also a side character compared to everything else. She wasn't the main character. She main heroine.
Well, no, Hellraiser 2, she takes the forefront because she knows that Frank is being used, I can't think of it.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, the gal, the mattress
is being used. Oh, I'm guessing you finished Halloween Ends. We'll get there.
Oh, we're getting there, man. I feel you. I can feel it.
Christy, it's weird because when you think of a final girl, Christy doesn't pop in your head automatically as like a top tier final girl. But if you think about what she did in the first 2 Hellraiser films, she deserves a lot more credit than she gets. But this character doesn't really break any new ground. The boyfriend doesn't break any new ground. Honestly, the brother and the brother's boyfriend, I cared a whole lot more about. Like,
in that dynamic, that little love thing got like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and also, I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler. It's not a whole lot, but your main character, somebody disappears, somebody gets hurt, and then she just runs off to do drugs and have sex. Like, 2 seconds later, you're like,
yeah, that's the problem. She just doesn't have anything likable going on. She has this like baggy clothes, mop hair, mouth open. I'm not sure what's going on with her upper lip, but she's just this mouth breathing, like, struggling character that everybody else is trying to help, but she's tired of hearing it. She's lashing out, and she's not a likable character.
A 15-year-old me would have totally related to that, but me as an adult is like, dude, I got bills to pay and I got to move my car on street sweeping day. You need to chill out or get in another movie. Like, But that said, Hellraiser 2022 to me is a good middle of the road film, and I think if it got a sequel, it would have the potential to grow higher on my Hellraiser list. I am a Hellraiser fan. I hold some of the sequels in very low regard and some of them in very high regard. So it's weird because my problems are more with writing than anything else.
Yeah. How'd you feel about a new ground?
Giving more lore, giving more mythology, giving more to kind of stand on isn't a bad thing, especially when it's a franchise that most of the sequels are like, oh, we have a detective movie. Oh, we should throw Pinhead in it so we don't lose the rights. So it's totally fine. And honestly, using the box like that, using the setting like that, it felt a little 13 Ghosts, but it didn't feel it in a bad way.
Right. I did think that too. It was hard not to, just the way it was set up. But yeah. You know, I haven't seen the whole franchise. Well, I'll save this for spoilers, so that way it's it doesn't give anything away. But yeah, overall, I think it was a solid attempt. I think nothing was too egregious. Like you said, I couldn't latch on to really anybody, but you know, I was there to watch the Cenobites and see what happened there, and the lore and like all that stuff. So, at the end of the day, it was passable. Nothing was egregious. Nothing was
worth a watch.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid attempt. Didn't blow my socks off. Didn't make me mad. Yep, solid.
Yeah. I'm happy that they didn't. Well, there's one thing that really made me mad. Other than that, it was good, and we'll get there when we get to spoilers. But yeah, overall, I think it was a really, really good crack at an underwhelming franchise. And I don't mean underwhelming to be rude. I mean it to be, they just really can't. Past Hellraiser 2, they haven't really been able to knock one out of the park. And even those first two weren't a huge knockout of the park. They're more of a horror fans film, but not in the same way as Terrifier.
Right. It was one of those where it was very special from when it came out. You know, almost like we're approaching like 40 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, and then but it was so open ended because the first movie just doesn't touch on a whole lot. It gives you just the bare bones, and you're like, wow, we could really explore this. And then the second one is when they really start to explore it, and then there's still more to explore. But it's the ideas of, you know, pleasure and pain and hell and heaven and all this stuff, and just the practical effects and how it lingers on the nastiness and it lingers on the pain. Wow.
I do really like in the new one how the box and the options are utilized.
Right,
I think that was very clever. I think it was extremely clever and well done and well written. And when we get to spoilers, I think that's about the only credit that I'm going to give writing.
I would think, yeah, that's my biggest credit too, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think it's going to give some opportunities to future installments, hopefully anyway. But yeah, so if anybody saw it, like I posted, I said that Caleb and I thought that the 2018 Halloween was a touchdown. We were very happy, back to basics. Loved James Jude Courtney. Didn't mind Laurie Strode. You know, for giving you something cool to see. I got it. You know, liked the side characters. Always loved the daughter. Always loved the granddaughter. You know, the dad was there on purpose. I get the way he was written. It works for me. So for all intents and purposes, 2018 is a touchdown. Halloween Kills changes the entire flavor and trajectory of 2018. While Michael is still awesome, the third act, the dialogue, the writing, and the third act falls on its face. And you could really feel that they were just stretching one idea. They were just like, there is no motive. It's just stretching it. Kills, spoilers, but Laurie Strode's bedridden again in a movie. Why? Because you're stretching it. You need to elongate that. You need to pad the runtime. And so Halloween Kills ends, and we were both just like, wow, this movie sucks. And we rant and raved, and I feel for the most part the same. The positive I can attach to it is I love Michael Myers in that movie. And then I had very, very low expectations. When you hear the special effects guy, I can't remember his name now.
Christopher Nelson.
When you can hear him say like 3 months ago or whatever it was that the movie is like different and strange, when you have people telling you like Jamie Lee Curtis that it's going to piss the fans off, when you have people that cannot sell the movie in a positive light, and I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did. I know she did. But when you have some people and all they can say was like, it's different, and they keep their mouths shut because they're getting paid, not good. Not good. And by God, did it deliver a ginormous turd at our doorstep and lit it on fire.
See, there were so many missed opportunities. The returning side characters in Ins are not who they should have been. I'll get to that later. The fact that this film was allegedly written and then rewritten after some of the negative criticisms of Kills. But from what I understand, the two main parts of this film were like already in conception. They just hadn't been finalized. We have a character introduction that should, if they needed this character, should have been introduced back in 2018, not the very last film.
Or at least Kills.
Yeah, at least Kills. Like there were so many choices. It was so unceremonious. It was so sad that like they used clips from the first Halloween to try and make it feel like it was more of a ceremonious ending. And it just pissed me off more. I don't understand what that movie I watched was. There's a couple cool kills. There's a couple cool scenes. Some ideas aren't terrible on paper, would have made a great fan film, a fantastic fan film. But as canon to this trilogy, there was an opportunity to make it great, and they just did everything the opposite of that.
Yeah, this movie is a movie that would have been better as its own horror movie, and without other franchise ties. Just like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 would be a good movie outside of the Halloween franchise, outside of that first movie that it just came from.
Like a Halloween anthology or a Michael Myers anthology. This would have been a fun entry. Right. I would be totally cool with that as an entry, but this is the end of the trilogy. This is where you want to leave this Michael Myers when you started that strong. Like,
right.
Halloween 2 1981 is a strong follow-up. Halloween 2018 had no business being that good that many years later.
Yeah.
And then you drop the ball.
Oh God! Yeah. Like I said,
then you kick it into the sewer for ends, literally.
No, yeah. If Halloween Kills was a fumble in the third quarter, like I said, this movie, the entire team quit and slapped all the fans on the way out of the stadium. Like they slapped the hot dog out of their mouth and then like doused everybody in like nacho cheese. Like it was absolutely atrocious. All the main characters, for the most part, are sidelined for this new thing. Like you could never this is not a crowd pleaser. It's just not. Like you could never write down this story and think that a studio and like people that actually write movies would do this. Like the disrespect of characters. Dude,
Resurrection is more respectful to Michael Myers than this movie is.
Right. I never want to hear anything else about Busta Rhymes roundhouse kicking Michael Myers. I never want to hear any of that crap ever again.
Again. Never.
This movie has no business with what it introduces in this movie is so far out of left field. It's in a different county. It's in a different state. It might even be on a different planet. There are no signs of those in the previous two movies other than maybe one little thing.
And if you're going to follow up Kills, changing... I don't want to say this the way it's going to come out, but there's no other way to say it. If you're going to make the change in characterization of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, you need to keep it for a movie that's the direct follow-up. They literally rewrote the characterization of the two main characters of this franchise. And that is wild to me.
Dude. And like I said, like at the end of Kills, I was like, all right, if he's supernatural now, then let's just go full supernatural.
Yeah.
Let's go wild and bonkers. And then they
started there. That's the thing. The movie starts with it and then never follows it up.
It just robs everything away from what you go to see a Halloween movie for. Like, you're not here for characters that you just met. You're not here for their story and what happens with blah, 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 blah. Like, we don't actually care too much about the town of Haddonfield. We don't actually care. Like, there's like 4 characters we care about, and you did nothing with most of them.
But
yeah,
what they were doing with the town in the beginning was like, okay, I can run with this, I can work with this if you execute it right. And they didn't. They just left it there and then put it in her narration. And it's like, wait, that's all you got? That's
right. Like, what I like, my concept was like, what I would have liked to see is that if we're talking about the trauma of the town and what happens, I would have liked to have seen something more along the lines of like people coming from all parts of the state or the world coming to Haddonfield on Halloween night to cover up murders under Michael Myers. Like, say they captured Michael Myers at the end of Kills and they had him contained and they were like, well, we're going to go kill people now in your name. Like, not necessarily worshiping Myers, but like maybe worshiping him / like just killing people because they were blaming it on him, and then maybe they would release them and be like, oh, here's your guy now that we killed a bunch of people. Like something than that, like something that you can do something fun with it a little bit without going too crazy. This movie, dude, I don't, like Paul said, I don't even know what I just watched. I still feel numb. Like, the movie ended and I was like, is that it? Like, is this a dream? Like, is the whole thing not real? Like,
that was it's your finale, and you gave it 3.5 minutes.
Oh, dude. Yeah, like
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 ended better. And look, I'm a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but I understand its weak sauce points. Like, I'm not going to argue them. Like I've said before, I get it. I personally like the movie, but it's problematic. And it is 1,000 times the film that this is. Like, it just...
Yeah, this movie brings up a ton of new questions. It answers none of them.
No.
And it's just like, here's what you get. And it's like, you know, and they just doubled down on it. They're like, nope, yep, we are really doing this. You are really seeing this. Like, I'm like Paul's saying that like Resurrection is better, and then he's saying this might be the worst in the franchise. I 100% agree. And everybody on, not everybody, there's like a couple of YouTubers that I've watched that didn't like this movie, and actually what I thought gave it a fair viewing, but like people that have made their careers off of this franchise or are big in the horror community, and they've sold the Halloween brand so much that I feel like they have to love it. I feel like they're either brainwashed or they are a little bit corrupted by knowing people on the set, knowing, you know, having ties to future opportunities to talk to these people, because this movie's trash. Don't go to the theater. Watch it on Peacock if you have to.
I don't know what to say. Like, I thought Halloween 2018 was really good but overhyped, which I get. You do that with a really good entry in a film. Halloween Kills missed the mark, and then I just don't understand how missing, like, I would have so much rather had another miss the mark film than whatever this is. Like, the main concept, the main idea of the film would not have been bad if executed earlier, differently, or in a different timeline. It would have worked. But it was done rushed, crappy, and with a character that didn't make sense.
Right. There's very little bit, there's none of that DNA in the original Halloween. Maybe you can argue it somewhere in there, and I'd love to hear that, but there's a little teensy-weensy bit when we spoil it. There's a little bit of DNA in what happens and ends in 2018. Maybe a skosh in Kills, but like how Kills ends with Myers, what they do in the next movie doesn't make any sense. Like, it looks cool, like, and it's yeah, but it makes no sense at all. Absolutely terrible. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep it going in the comment section. We really appreciate you guys. Jason, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Peace.